back to my channel. I'm JC. Today's video is going to be an editing and revising my Manuscript series video, but I guess we can call this season 2 because, well, season 2, series 2, I'm not entirely sure how we would label this, but we're going into a different book. We are going into The Weight of Her, and I've read through. My intention was to at least do half of the read through before I got the first episode of this new segment, well, new series, new season, whatever, up. I've actually read a little bit more than halfway through, so I felt it was time to go ahead and share my thoughts so far, how far I've gotten, things like that. So without further ado, I'm going to just slide over and I'll be back on the other side to share my final thoughts after you've seen the clips from, yeah, we'll be back. It is time to start the read-through of The Weight of Her. So as you can see, we're starting a new segment of this editing vlog series, and we are now reading through The Weight of Her to prepare to edit and revise this novel. I've put it off as long as I could, procrastinating, I think, because kind of just nervous about reading through. I haven't touched this draft or this novel since I finished the first draft, and it's been critiqued by Eva, just Eva in the chats, and I've read through her feedback, and so I'm just reading through it myself one good time, and then I will correspond the feedback that she gave me in my own notes, and just nervous about reading back over my work. It's been so long. Anyway, back to the read-through. And okay, so I have made it to chapter 3 of my Weight of Her read through. Gotta say, I'm kind of really liking it so far. I know it sounds a little biased because it's my story, but you gotta remember I haven't read this in a few years, so it's almost like I'm reading it as I'm really removed from the story. I'm really liking this. I'm like, I mean, of course, obviously I see where work needs to be done, but I really like this so far. So I said I was going to try to do at least 1 to 2 chapters a day. So I'm going to stop here and then work on something else. So for this editing vlog, read through, I'll be back tomorrow. Bye. Okay, so back to this editing vlog. It is day 2. Day 2 of me doing this read through. Not day 2 of camp, but we're on chapter 3 and I'm ready to go. Let's do this. Okay, before I move on to the next chapter in this read through, I just had to read a little quote from the work that I really liked. Where is it? Where'd it go? Oh, she says, okay, so I'm not going to read the whole entire quote, but she says, "I'm really sorry, Brennan, and not just for all of the bad memories that you have of the things that I put you through, but mostly because I simply can't remember memories that you most likely will never forget." Oh, I like that line. Okay, back to the read through. Okay, I think I forgot to update the editing blog yesterday, and with the fact that I had finished the 2 chapters that I had to do a read through of yesterday, and I am now starting my read through for today, and we'll see if I can get more than 2 chapters, but at least 2. Where are we at? I'll just say, I created quite a complex main character. Brennan is such, it's like, she's a liar and she's a bit of a hot mess. However, she had some traumatic childhood experiences that I'm like, I can kind of understand why she is the way she is. And there's still some secrets that she's holding out on with her, like she hasn't told her husband. And whew, that's going to be interesting. I think they're getting ready to come out in the next couple of chapters, maybe. Or at least another one is going to come out. I don't know. Anyway, reading through. Oh my God. Something just got revealed by the mother of Brennan in this story. Look, when you write stuff and don't read it for years, you kind of forget what you wrote. I was like, oh, I didn't remember putting that in there. Oh my gosh, it's kind of good. There's a lot of, there's her secrets, and then there's the mother's secrets, and then, oh my goodness, so many secrets. Why do I love writing this stuff? Okay, so I'm finished with my read through for today. I got my 2 chapters in. So I'm on chapter 7 when I go back to start tomorrow. And you know, I'm really liking these characters. Well, I really like the husband. Okay, I like the main character, Brennan. I just didn't realize how complicated and complex I made her. And she's a lot. She's a lot. Her mother has some secrets of her own that are also a lot. And apparently I just like writing family drama and family secrets. But I'm enjoying this read through. And I don't know if I mentioned this at the beginning of the editing log, but for this, but I wrote Weight of Her. I don't know if I pull it up now, it's not going to tell me the original. But it was years ago. Like, when I say years ago, probably at least 5 years ago that I wrote this. And I'm pleasantly surprised. I mean, obviously there's work that needs to be done. But there's some things that I wrote and I'm like, oh, that wasn't a bad line. I like that. I don't have anything to share from today's read through that jumped out at me. But I really, I always get nervous about reading through my work because I know these things were written years ago, and I'm a different writer now than I was then. So I always worry, like, how bad was the writing then? Because, we improve over time. And obviously, I'm not saying that my writing hasn't improved and that this doesn't need work. Clearly, it does. I have tabs. There are tabs. But I'm pleasantly surprised by some of the things that I wrote. And I'm like, and I always like when I'm pleasantly surprised because I always just go in automatically assuming it's going to be trash. So I'm always surprised when it's not the trash that I thought it was going to be. I mean, not trash. I know I'm a good writer, but I'll just say, I went in thinking this is going to need a lot more cleanup work. Anyway, I don't know where I'm going with this. It's late. But I'm finished my read through for today. I'll be back for the editing vlog part tomorrow. Yeah, good night. Or I'll see you in the next clip. And we're back. Hello. So now that I don't even know where I left off. I think the last clip was me working on what day is this? This is the 13th. So, well, actually, it's the 12th. My last set of chapters that I did a read through for. I am up to chapter 14. My next chapter I start on tomorrow will be 15. So I've gotten a little more than halfway through because there are 20 chapters in this novel. I'll just say, and I had to ask Laura and the gang if it sounded too cocky for me to say, I like my book, but I'm really liking my book. I'm really liking my story. I mean, it's not perfect, obviously, hence all of, the tabs. But, a lot of the tabs are for grammatical errors, spelling errors, things that apparently I was typing too fast and didn't get included in the document. Sometimes there's little notes that says this needs to be stronger, this needs to be described better. There needs to be more of a reaction here. This reaction isn't strong enough. So little notes like that. I even have a note that says, what the hell is this? Because I didn't know what the heck I was writing in that note, that part. But then I figured it out after I wrote that note. But I still may need to adjust something. Because if that's my first initial thought when I read that, then that's going to be the reader's first initial thought. So, but overall, I really like my story. And I hope this doesn't come off wrong, me saying this about my own story. But keep in mind, I genuinely am reading this as a reader who's never, it's almost like I've never read this because I don't remember writing. I'm like, I don't remember writing that, but okay. I guess I did. It's in the document. I must have wrote it. But this is written over 5 years ago. So roughly around 5 years, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So I was a different person, different writer. I've evolved and developed more as a writer, I would like to think. And, so honestly, some of the things are shocking me because they're really good. And then there are some things that I'm like, oh, okay, that can be stronger. I think I could write that stronger now as the writer I am now. What was I about to say? I was about to say something, but I don't remember. But the story. Overall, okay, the story, I will say, if you read my first novel, The Diary, Succession of Lies, which I think I've heard, I think Ben Pick in his video when he talked about my novel, I believe he said it wasn't for the faint of heart, something like that. Neither is this. there are some there's some emotional things going on in this story. There's some hard truths that have to be told. Okay, this girl is a liar. However, I really like her. And that's not to say that I like liars or anything like that. She's complex. And I feel like I really did a good job at creating a complex character who you really kind of want to not like. But then when you peel back the layers of her and start to see why she is the way she is, why she's told the lies that she's told, why she feels she had to, why she has all these walls built up like a mile high, and you start to realize that there's a lot of depth to her. And yes, she's a little bit of a liar, but in fact, let me read you the blurb, because Eva in chat, she read my story. She's the only other person that's actually read this novel. And she gave me some really nice, strong critique feedback. I still have to go through a lot of it. But as I'm going through some of her feedback, I'm like, yeah. As I'm going through some of her feedback, in addition to reading through it myself, I'm like, yeah, I see what you mean there. I can see that issue. But I just want to read the blurb that she wrote. And she said I can keep it if I want to, and I absolutely want to. And I've read this. If you were watching Esther Marie Andujar's live stream the first week of camp on Friday, she asked a question about an elevator pitch, and I didn't have an elevator pitch, but I had this blurb. And it seemed to be well received. So I'm going to read it again in case you weren't there. It says, Brennan is such a liar, but how can she not be with a mother like Lauren? After weaving through the web of lies she crafted, Brennan finds herself confronted with her past and her future. Could she do what she was asked to do, knowing it would remove any chance at closure? If she did, would it ruin the family she had just gotten back after all these years? I love that blurb so much. And I'm just like, yes, that describes, as I'm reading it more and more, I'm like, that's perfect. And I mean, she is a liar, but there are reasons. And the interesting part for me that I'm finding as I'm reading through this is her mother's story. And oh my gosh, I feel like haven't I done this whole mother-daughter dual story thing in the diary? Apparently that's my thing. But it's not done in the same way. So it's not the same story or anything like that. It's just that it's her mother's story is also touching in certain ways, and you only really get bits and pieces of her mother's story because, her mother's not the main character. She is, but her mother's story is important to her evolution. Her mother's history or past, things that still haunt her mother, and in a way have kind of haunted over her life unknowingly, because she didn't know these things that happened in her mother's past that have affected her indirectly. And hence the title of the story, The Weight of Her. There's just a lot of weight that has been placed on her life from the effects of the childhood that she had from her mother, but also as she's kind of learning her mother in this new light, there's a realization that there are effects placed on her life that came from her mother's mother that she never even knew or had anything directly to do with. So there's a lot of I'm reading and I'm really getting touched. There's a part that almost made me cry today. And I was just like, oh, I'm about to cry at my own story. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But those are my thoughts so far on what I have read through. So obviously this first episode is just going to be, I don't know how I'm phrasing this. This particular episode is just going to be the first part of the read through. And I just wanted to kind of talk over a little bit of my thoughts. I don't want to give the whole story away because I've been told that I apparently give too much of my stories away. And since I do intend, or at least the plan is to publish this year, I don't want to give too much away. But I'm trying to see if I think I might have read this line in one of the clips, but I'm going to read it again because I really love this. It's something her mother says to her, and oh my gosh, she's so cold to her mother when her mother first gets there. I mean, she has a reason to be, but damn, like, hold on, let me see if I can find it. Oh, okay. When she says, they're having a conversation and Brennan is still kind of closed off to her, and she says, and there's a particular night that kind of was the turning point to Brennan closing the door on her mother for good. All those years ago, because when her mother shows up at her doorstep, she hasn't seen her in nearly 2 decades, but there was a turning point that made her shut the door on her, and she has all these memories and things. But okay, I will say this part because I can't read this quote without explaining why her mother doesn't have the memories that Brennan has. So her mother shows up and she has Alzheimer's. So she shows up to tell Brennan that she has Alzheimer's. She's started to keep a journal because there are things she doesn't want to lose the memory of. And so she shows up to try to make amends with Brennan, and there's some other reasons why she shows up. Get into that later down the line. But Brennan brings up the night in question, the turning point, if you will. And her mother says, "I'm really sorry, Brennan. And not just for all of the bad memories that you have of the things that I put you through, but mostly because I simply can't remember memories that you most likely will never forget. It doesn't seem fair that you're the only one that has to carry all of that." I mean, it goes on a little further, but I was like, I love that. I love that. Okay. I love that. As I'm going through this, I'm finding different parts that I'm like, oh, I really love that scene. I'm really loving my story. I hope that doesn't come off too like cocky or anything. I'm really loving this story. I'm reading it as if this is someone else who wrote this. But I'm really enjoying it. So stay tuned for the next episode to see how the rest of the read through goes through and the beginning of the actual revision process or editing process, whatever. Because I'm not really editing. I'm tabbing off things that need to be corrected. But yeah, stay tuned for that next episode. But that is going to be it for this video. If you like what you see, you want to see more videos from me, make sure that you hit the like and subscribe button. I post videos on Mondays and Thursdays. I live stream on Wednesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As per usual, if you would like to be supportive of me in any of my creative endeavors, such as my blog, my online magazine, my online store, my Ko-fi page, Patreon, Redbubble shop, or by buying my books, all of those links can be found in the description box below. And until next time, have a blessed day. Bye.